I don't know if I'm the best position to look at a wide range of founders and say this is the most common mistake, but I have read some great books on the topic, and one of the best books I've read is called Founders' Dilemmas. They've surveyed a number of startups, and they've taken a look at what sort of problems do they run into and why have they failed, why have they succeeded. And sort of the overwhelming problem startups run into tends to be founders. If you have a bad founding team, chances are you're going to fail. I've sort of seen this myself in some situations. I've got from some friends who just started a small e-commerce startup. And the problem that they're going to run into time and time again is that they're best friends. And they were best friends for a long time before they even started the business. And because of that, I know that they have this contract to say, no matter what happens with the business, we're going to make sure that it doesn't ruin our friendship. And that's almost a guaranteed way to say, the business is going to fail, because you're always going to prioritize friendship on top of the business. And if you look at how a startup forms, there's going to be times where you actually have to prioritize business, what's best for the business, above friendship. So say, for example, one of the founders says, you know what, I really can't spend as much time with the startup. I need to focus on my career. I need to focus on my life. I'm starting a second project. You only get a small percent of the time. But if they own 50% of the company, there's something wrong with that. So you want to be able to make sure that A, the friendship doesn't prioritize the business, otherwise the business is going to suffer. And B, you build the structure early on so that it's dynamic enough to account for obstacles that are going to happen with founders. If one founder says, you know, this isn't really working for me, I need to go a different path in life, they can't walk away at 50% of your company. You need to be able to have vesting and some sort of dynamic agreement to say, if you're not putting a full 50% in or whatever your agreed upon amount is, you're not going to be able to walk away with more than that. I would recommend to founders, make sure you have the right founding team. Don't pick someone who is exactly like yourself. Pick someone who's very different, who has a very different set of social connections that they can tap into, a very different set of skills that they can use to promote the business. Someone you don't see eye to eye. For Triberr, I'm very rational. All my decisions are based on rational analytics. Dino Dogan is extremely emotional. All his decisions are based on how is the user going to perceive this, how are we going to be looked at, and how are people going to feel when we make this change. And because of that, there's a nice yin-yang type of balance going on, and it's the only way where we've stayed on course. We both had the same vision. We want to make something great for bloggers, and I've taken the rational approach, he's taken the emotional approach, and we've gone along. It creates a little bit of conflict, but because we're not best friends, we can have those uncomfortable conversations. We can go back and forth and disagree and still have it come out something nice at the end without being afraid I've offended you as a person and our friendship is at risk. Because if you're best friends, you tend to avoid the tough conversations and the ones like equity or titles. Those type of things ruin early relationships that start with a business when founders are best friends.